Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're demystifying MongoDB. It's a database built from the ground up for the modern data-heavy web. Honestly, if you've ever had to work with data, you're going to want to stick around for this.
So let's just kick things off with a question. Have you ever felt, well, stuck? Boxed in by those rigid rows and columns of a traditional database? You know the feeling. You want to add just one new piece of info for a single user, but suddenly you have to change the entire structure for everybody. It's a classic headache, right? And that's precisely the problem MongoDB was built to solve.
And this slide, wow, it just lays it all out perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the old way, the traditional SQL table. See how Alice has that phone field? It's just sitting there, empty, null. It's basically wasted space. But then look to the right at the MongoDB collection. Alice doesn't even have a phone field, but hey, she's got a list of interests. Bob, on the other hand, has a phone but no interests. See? Each record or document can have its own unique structure. That's the flexibility we're talking about.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll cover what makes MongoDB different. Then, we'll look at its basic building blocks. After that, how you actually talk to it, how to get real insights from your data, and finally, how it scales up for the big leagues. Let's get started.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1. To really get what MongoDB is all about, we have to start with what makes it so different from the databases that came before it.
So MongoDB belongs to this big category of databases called NoSQL. And you might think that means no to SQL, but it's actually more like not only SQL. It's this whole idea that, hey, maybe that super rigid table structure isn't the one-size-fits-all solution for every single problem out there. Especially not when you're dealing with the messy, complex, constantly changing data you get from modern apps.
And that brings us to the real heart of MongoDB. It's what we call a document-oriented database. So instead of rows in a table, it stores data in these super flexible, JSON-like things called documents. And believe me, for developers, this is an absolute game changer. Why? Because this format maps almost perfectly to the objects they're already using in their code. It just makes building things so much faster and more natural.
Okay, so we've established that MongoDB uses these things called documents. But how does that all fit together? In our next section, we're going to look at the anatomy of MongoDB, starting small and building our way up.
All right, the single most fundamental piece of MongoDB is the document. Just think of it as one record, like one user profile or one product listing. It's all just key value pairs. Now, technically, it's stored in a format called BSON, which is just binary JSON. All that really means is that it's a supercharged binary version of JSON that the database can work with way faster.
So where do all these documents live? Well, you group them together in something called a collection. This is probably the closest thing you'll find to a table from the old SQL world, but with one huge difference. There's no rigid schema. So, if we stick with that filing analogy, if a document is a single file, then a collection is kind of like the file drawer where you keep all the related files. And to finish the picture, you take a bunch of collections and put them inside a database. That's it. That's the whole filing cabinet. It holds all the drawers, your collections, which in turn hold all your individual files, your documents. Pretty simple when you think about it, right? Documents go in collections, and collections go in a database.
Okay, great. So we've got our filing cabinet, we've got drawers, we've got files. But how do we actually find anything or put new stuff in? Let's talk about how to actually interact with the data.
When it comes down to it, pretty much everything you do with your data falls into 4 basic categories. We call it CRUD. It's an acronym. You create new data, you read existing data, you update it, and you delete it. So you'll see commands like insert 1 to create, find to read, update 1 to update, and delete 1 to delete. That's pretty much the whole shebang right there.
Now, that read part is obviously super important. But let's say you have millions or even billions of documents. How in the world do you find what you're looking for quickly? The answer is something called an index. And the analogy is perfect. It works just like the index in the back of a book. Instead of scanning every single page or every single document, the database just looks up the term in the index, finds out exactly where it is, and jumps right to it. This is what makes MongoDB's read operations lightning fast. But sometimes just finding one piece of data isn't enough, right? What if you need to do some real analysis? Calculate totals, find averages. That's where things get really interesting with the aggregation pipeline. Okay, the aggregation pipeline. This is seriously one of MongoDB's killer features. The best way to think about it is like a data assembly line in a factory. Your raw documents go in one end, and then they move through a series of stages. So stage 1, a dollars match stage, might filter out everything except sales from the last 30 days. Then, the next stage, dollars group, could group all those sales by product and add up the totals. And maybe a final dollars sort stage orders them from most to least popular. See what happens? What comes out the other end isn't just raw data anymore. It's a genuinely useful insight.
And that brings us to maybe the most important feature for the modern web, scaling. I mean, how does MongoDB handle huge amounts of data and traffic without just falling over?
When your app gets popular and your database starts getting slammed, you really only have two choices. You can scale up. That means you just keep buying a bigger, faster, more expensive server. But there's always a limit, right? Both physically and financially. The other option is to scale out. Instead of one giant machine, you just spread the work across lots of smaller, cheaper servers. This is the way modern systems are built, and it's baked right into MongoDB's DNA.
Now, the official term for this scaling out strategy is sharding. It's actually pretty cool. MongoDB automatically takes your data, chops it into pieces, and spreads it across all those different machines, which we call shards. So when your app suddenly gets 1 million new users, you don't have to panic and buy some monster server. You just add a few more regular servers to the group. It's how MongoDB can handle absolutely massive data sets without even breaking a sweat.
But you might be thinking, okay, but what happens if one of those servers just dies? Great question. And that's where replication comes in. MongoDB is smart enough to keep multiple copies of your data running at the same time. This is called a replica set. You have one primary server handling all the new data, and then a few secondary servers that are just exact copies. If that main server ever goes down, poof, one of the copies automatically gets promoted to be the new primary, usually in just a few seconds. Your app and your users will probably never even know anything happened.
So let's just wrap this all up. When you think about MongoDB, there are really 5 big takeaways. You've got that super flexible data model, you have crazy high performance thanks to indexing. You can do some really powerful analysis with the aggregation pipeline, and it's all built on a foundation of horizontal scaling and high availability. It really is the complete package for building modern apps.
And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. After seeing how MongoDB gives you all this flexibility and power to scale, maybe it's time to look at your own projects. Is your data ready to break out of the box? Or is your current database the very thing that's holding you back?